We'll talk about the darkness in you. All right. How's that sound for something really exciting? Let's see. I know. This darkness is in you, but I don't know what page it's on. So let's see. Apologize for my not quite being together here, but it's been a really, really busy weekend. So, okay, yeah, wild weekend. There you go. Okay, so turn to page 250, Finding the Present. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. Because, this whole concept of being still, recognizing the stories we carry and then shifting to that place of I don't know is actually the present. And the present is the only place that you can access healing, and it's the only place where your stories don't live. So you have to drop your stories to find out how to get there. All right. So finding the present. To perceive truly is to be aware of all reality through the awareness of your own. But for this, no illusions can rise to meet your sight, for reality leaves no room for any error. This means that you perceive a brother only as you see him now. This past has no reality in the present, so you cannot see it. Your past reactions to him are also not there, and if it is to them that you react, you see but an image of him that you made and cherish instead of him. In your questioning of illusions, ask yourself if it is really sane to perceive what was as now. If you remember the past as you look upon your brother, you will be able to perceive the reality that is now. All right, so that's actually pretty. So basically what this is talking about is, again, being in the present, because if you're not in the present, you're in the past, or oftentimes the fear of the future. Either one of them will not allow you to experience the present where that connection and healing can occur. So to perceive truly is to be aware of all reality through the awareness of your own. So he's reminding us, you're the one that has the magic key. But are you going to use the magic key? Because as long as you play, again, in the past or the future, you're not opening the door to the present of I don't know. And when you work from that place, then there's no way you can find your understanding. But for this, and he's going on to say, but for this, no illusions can rise to meet your sight, for reality leaves no room for any error. All right, that's a nice statement, but when we look out at the world, aren't we always looking at the past through our lens of projection? And what this is trying to help us recognize and then eventually do is to be aware that what I see in my brother is what I've already projected in him. And as long as I'm projecting it in my brother, I am never going to see my brother as healed or oneness, because I'm literally seeing my garbage in my brother. I've projected it into my brother so that I can play a part of an innocent victim. Okay? So I'm not a really nice person, in other words, which, of course, this was all done on a subconscious level. And because it was done on a subconscious level, until we found the Course, we weren't aware that that was the setup that brought this result. Okay?
Basically, it's how when you walk in the room and see somebody, it's what our mind is churning already about what you're thinking about that person, even if you haven't met them. You have an opinion.
Oh, yeah.
It's your projection of walk in with
right. So
that's what we have.
And it's not a projection from Mary Ann, it's a projection from the belief in separation. So it's not personally, the strings aren't attached to the personal part, but you're going to see what was set into motion when the choice of separation occurred. Okay, so that's automatic. So you're looking at, would somebody make the temperature just a tad bit warmer? Thank you. No, no. Yeah. Hey, Lori. Yeah, and again, with that concept, gee, our whole life experience has been a shadow cast on the wall of what we wanted to see. And again, if we look at it from this perspective, if this is God's face and we put our face in front of it, and poor little girl, she keeps flipping all around. She's supposed to be sitting up straight, but oh well. Anyways, we put this screen, a block, a cloud, whatever words you want to use, in front of God's face, and now we see that projected out into the world, and we think that's reality. When in essence, all that is the slide that's being carried in my mind of the belief of separation.
So just to see another body is a projection.
To see anything is a projection.
And put a name to it.
Correct. And I would say, rather than that, it's actually the effect of projection. Okay, so in other words, God's face is here. I put this slide in front, which has me and all these other people. Okay, and not just people, things, situations, experiences, you name it. Anything that seemingly takes my peace away is an attribute of the slide put in front of the face, which now gets projected into the world. I look at the world and I say, I'm innocent victim, me, I'm the hero of the dream, and all these people out here are doing whatever they do or act or whatever that upsets me and irritates me. When in essence, if this slide wasn't here, I would not have access or have any experience of them that way. I might still, and again, I often bring it back to Jesus dying on the cross in the Course. Jesus died on the cross, and we would say the storyline of Jesus wasn't a real positive experience. But the point being is that his mind was here, not here, so it had no effect on him. So they could do whatever they wanted, call him names, spit on him, whatever. And he was not affected because he was fully aligned with this part of the mind that knows who he is. So the progression of the Course is to help us realize, what we did to ourselves, what the effect is, and then hopefully that we would choose again from that other part of our mind, and then we can be aligned with Jesus.
So that's the good news about the projection.
That's,
yes.
yes.
Chance, because obviously we just
Correct.
a projecting machine until we ask
Yes.
help to see it through God.
Yes. And literally, I wouldn't know what was in my mind unless I had the projection to look at. Because once we project it, we put this line, and now we totally forget that this is the setup that we put into play. So all I see is, I'm literally an innocent victim. I was born a family. I never asked to be born, and from there on, that's multiplied every which way we could possibly, fall into the trap of it being. And then I blame everything that doesn't work in my life on something or someone else outside of me. The whole time, the problem really lies in my subconscious mind that has believed it's separated from God. And God says, nothing happened, come back home, it's okay. But we're not convinced that he's correct because we have a better plan. We're so good. We're so smart, we're so good, we're so whatever.
We're just trying to get ahead.
There you go. I can do it. And even from the point of little children, how many little children will say, I can do it myself. And that's us. I can do it myself. And we're just very acclimated to being in charge and doing it ourselves. And this comes along and says, well, wait a minute, doing it yourself hasn't brought you much that it was worked out too well for you. Maybe you could think about that and question if that's really where you want to continue. And again, it's always up to us which aspect I choose to be aligned with. And there's a lovely line in the Course that basically says, it's not that you would never experience the effects of the ego, but it's that you don't stay there. Okay, so not to feel guilty because I just found myself playing and, wallowing in the ego stuff, but to realize, thank you for telling me that, because now when I'm ready, I can make that change a difference. And that's ultimately the way we want to keep working on this. Because as long as the ego's in charge, it's going to be a lose-lose situation across the board. It can't be anything other than that. All right. But for this, no illusion can rise to meet your sight, for reality leaves no room for any air. So what that means is anything, absolutely positively, anything of the illusion that presents itself as in a way where I believe I'm an innocent victim of circumstances beyond my control, which we all do pretty much 24 hours a day, but it's about catching those moments where, oh, wow, there I go again. I'm playing the innocent victim game. And if I'm the Son of God, I can't be an innocent victim. I can be innocent, but I can't be an innocent victim. So if I catch myself playing in the realm of the innocent victim, that's my red flag to, wait a minute, I can choose differently. And that will take me to a much better place. And again, that takes a lot of effort on our part at this time because we are so acclimated to respond from the place of kill or be killed. You do this, I do this. You do this, I do this. And it's just pretty overwhelming.
And then we're all victims. So
we're all
I'm a victim
victims.
of my brother and my brother. And
Yep.
God is a victim of, or I don't know if God is a victim, but how we see everything else is how we think God sees us. So
well, yes, and many people go a little further and believe God set it up that way, where the Course does not agree with that. The Course explains, we were at home in the loving arms of God, and we had this tiny mad idea where we believed we could take off on our own, much like the prodigal son, and we know how that turned out. But that's how we are. We want to be in control, and as long as we want to be in control, then God's not in control. So I get my wish, but I leave behind the love, the connection, and the oneness.
But that God is the perpetrator.
And at that point, God is the perpetrator. Yes, yeah.
Because of him, he did it all.
Yeah.
He parted the waters, he did all those things.
Exactly.
Did all that.
Exactly. And the deal is, from the perspective of the Course, God doesn't even know we're here because he only knows what's true. Only we believe it happened and reap the effects of that belief system.
And if we want to go where he is, we can't drag him.
No. It doesn't work that way. You can't bring him down here and find peace because the peace doesn't live here. Bottom line.
Can't drag him down
Yeah.
with the plumbing problems.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And there's actually a line that I really like that says, we asked a special favor of God, and he could not give it to us. It's not that he doesn't want to or doesn't like us or doesn't think we're worthy. He can't give it to us because what the favor was is tell me it's okay, I separated from love. And he doesn't even know that happened, so he can't help us out with that one. But when I realize that I have chosen wrongly and that's maybe not to my advantage, I can then reconnect with that experience. And that's the whole kind of the gist of the Course. Who's in charge? And am I going to allow the ego to run the show all the time, or am I going to pause, take a deep breath, and do something different? This means that you perceive a brother only as you see him now. So what he's saying with that line is, if you could come from the place of the now, you could only see your brother as the same as you, because you're not bringing the garbage from the past or the concern of the future with you. And I think we have to be extremely gentle with ourselves because our mindset after we chose for the ego is to perpetuate everything that has to do with the ego. So, this doesn't really fit in with this play. The desire to be at one, or I shouldn't say at one, the desire to be at peace sounds very appealing, but not at the cost of letting go everything I think I know, including me, especially me. So that's a big step, I guess you could say. And I think as we keep doing this, that step will get less threatening, less extreme, because we begin to trust more and more that as I do this, and I don't care if I let go of my identity as much. It's not as threatening any longer. And it's really the threat because we set it up and we have perpetuated the separation since the Big Bang. So it's pretty well established. And much like any addiction, cigarette smoking or drinking, you can say, okay, I'm going to quit. Sounds great on paper. And I do know a couple people that were able to quit like this, but that's very minimal. Most people, the desire is there, but the history holds them back. And that's kind of the same way we are, because we are living in the past and believing that person is the image that I see with my eyes now, but they're really the Holy Son of God, just like we are. And in order for me to know that I am the Holy Son of God, I have to be willing to bring my brother with me. We'd love to leave him there and be the first one in line over here, but it doesn't work that way. And, think about so many of the workbook lessons and some of the places in the text as well. Jesus will say these just like delicious words, and you just like want to melt because, oh, you are love and you have always been love. And, that sounds wonderful. But wait a minute, my brother's that too? No. He doesn't look that way to me at all. I've got a list for you. You better check because my list is more important than yours. And this is saying, can you stop a moment, take a deep breath, and be willing to allow another story to fill the place of what your story is sharing? And that it really initially does take a lot of seeming effort on our part to switch that, that switch around.
I think the course was like, you finally found the perfect solution to having people stop messing with you.
Well, you have, but
you tell them all about the course, and then they'd have to stop messing with you.
I mean, that's just that's
right.
the progression of how
the mind works with this.
The mind thinks is,
right.
If I just do this, and they're getting it all and thinking,
yep.
Oh, I just got to tell somebody else, and they'll knock it off.
Yeah, and that doesn't work either, because all you're doing is talking to a slide.
We say, I'm going to get the course after you.
Well,
remember,
yeah.
Remember that as a child, Jesus doesn't like that when you do this, how that goes.
Yeah.
So, Marianne?
Yeah.
Do we pray to God in the course?
Well, there's a little pamphlet that came right after the course was taken down. It's called the The Song of Prayer, and it talks about the layer of prayer. When you first start, you're, as little children, you're praying for your orange or your red wagon, and then you get a little older and it's, I want the car, and then it's a little older and you eventually think, oh, well, I'm going to pray for healing for my brothers because that's loving. But eventually it's like you can't not start with prayer, I guess you could say, but as you progress up the ladder, eventually it's my only real prayer is show me who I am.
Well, so what brought up the question is that, we talk about not bringing God into the dream. The reflection of God is the Holy Spirit.
Correct.
And then we also have Jesus.
Right.
So who do we pray to, or are we praying to just an aspect of ourselves?
You're ultimately praying to an aspect of yourself, because the ego and the Holy Spirit are just two parts of your mind. There is no Jesus with a long robe running around, or God for that matter, because God is literally oneness and allness and wholeness. But because, and many of the words in the Course are actually directed as us being little children on the ground playing blocks. We're not ready to let go of my body. I'm not ready to, look through I'm not able at this point to look through the lens of just the answer is nothing happened. So we start where we are, and if people have comfort in praying to God or Jesus, whatever it may be is your way of connecting, by all means do that. But as you continue up the ladder, don't stay on the bottom rung. Keep learning and growing, and eventually you'll understand. My only real prayer is help. I want to know who I am.
So if you're praying to the Holy Spirit, you're actually praying to the voice for God.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Versus the voice for the ego.
Or God himself.
Right. Yeah.
You're praying, you're recognizing that God is not in the dream.
Nope.
But,
yes.
His reflection actually is.
Correct. Yes.
So you're praying for oneness.
Yes. That's your ultimate prayer. Yeah. And again, we have to start where we are. Most of us are, we can say, all I want is that, but my car conks out. What I'm really praying for is a new car. Let's face it, guys. Yeah. So take yourself exactly where you are, and there's nothing wrong with adding to that prayer. Show me how to come to the point where all I really want to know is who I am. Because every time you approach it from getting the ego out of the way, you're literally stepping over here. And you're going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And as we spend more time here and less time here, the concept of all I really want is to know who I am will just literally start to dawn on you, because you're not so stuck in the solidness of the illusion anymore. And all the things that may have upset you or disrupted you 5 years ago, just, maybe they'll be like a brush aside you, but it's not a big deal. But we have to take ourselves where we are.
So then the question becomes, how do you not drag God into the dream?
Well, I think as you begin to understand intellectually, I know God's not here to save me. Okay? And as you pray, it is more like, show me how to align with what truth is. Okay?
Because it's not the words, but I
No.
The prayer that I learned this week was I give you to the Holy Spirit as a part of myself. Now all those words, that doesn't make any sense really in the world in terms of what that is.
Right.
But the more I say it, the more I come to understand I'm trying to do something that isn't in the words. I'm trying to get
right.
Release.
Move beyond the
Release
words.
isn't part of that. In that prayer, it's a paragraph. There's release involved, and how I by giving you, I ask for your release.
Mm-hmm.
I decide for my decision to release you.
There you go.
So that's
yes.
the decision, and then the payback is that I recognize, like I don't know this. The words are so intricately involved with the process of getting in touch with that spiritual nature. So I recognize that if I release you, that we're going to be released together.
Exactly.
And that sentence was quite powerful.
Now that's a beautiful, beautiful section. Yes.
I know what the page is, but I guess I wrote it somewhere. But anyway, just a part where God is
in the oneness that you've opened the door to, because you're bringing your brother with you.
Yes, I'm asking for. And it's a little bit tedious, like how do I know, how is it that, what is it I have to do about my brother when they're being a pain in the neck?
Well,
what do I really know about that? And I'm saying so I have to do something, I have to decide.
Right.
I decide for that.
Right.
And so I think that a part of the thing about the prayers are the intricate words make you have to dig somehow in your gut to what does it mean. So I don't know. I recognize because I've always been with God, and that's what He says. I've always been with you, and so I recognize the change that I'm asking for.
Right, and that particular prayer is speaking of the way I normally see my brother as the idiot. As long as I'm bringing that story in, I'm never going to see my brother through the lens of love. And that prayer is trying to literally help us shift to that other part of, I don't know what's going on here. I don't like it very well, but somewhere within me, I am willing, at least for a moment, to check and see what you have to give me instead of what he is. Because if I'm coming in with all my bags, I'm not getting in that door.
I say something. I say I release to the Holy Spirit so that I will be released myself.
Perfect,
And
perfect,
because
yes.
to me, it's like, I'm not there yet, but I'm willing.
Right,
You
yeah,
know,
that's
willingness.
all we're asked is the
Yeah.
willingness, and
Right,
that's
well, like,
so,
do a
right.
mantra.
Yeah.
I think all of this conversation kind of goes back to that line that we always say in the opening prayer, I am content to be wherever he wishes, and I have struggled with that. Because, as I hear Ken keep talking on this one series I'm listening to, Jesus and the Holy Spirit and maybe others are just symbols
Exactly,
of oneness in our right mind. So when I
exactly.
say I am content to be wherever he wishes, he must be, it's just a word, he, the
Right,
oneness.
yes, right, yeah. And when you're in oneness, you're out of the way, and that love flows through you and will take you to where you need to be. Now, right now, most of us don't trust that completely, so we still waver in that place, even if we're saying those words with our mouth. But as you keep doing it more and more, eventually it'll kind of like you'll start to calm down and go, oh yeah, I see this is working through me, and I don't have to be all bent out of shape if it's not working the way I think it should or whatever. But yeah, it's a nice experience for sure.
Somehow the words are leading the way,
Right.
even though they're
Yes.
a stumbling block many times.
Yes,
So
yes,
they're
yes.
But they're leading the way to a process.
Right.
And I guess how you keep, I just still don't really believe all that. I
Well,
read
no,
it,
we don't. Yeah.
So, and I've asked, well, how does this work?
Right.
And then if I keep asking, how does this work, I keep working it.
Right.
And then one day I go, oh, that's how it works.
Yeah. And I think we're all pretty aware of when I'm not thinking through that lens.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, yes. And to even just catch those moments from the perspective of not judging or attacking yourself when you find yourself there. And instead of hating yourself because you find yourself there, think of it as, oh, thank you for letting me know, so now I can flip the coin and go to the other side. Then I'm okay. Because I think we're, again, initially so wrapped up in the guilt, we bring it with us even when we're practicing the Course. And it takes a while before you can literally be up here and observe this story without being pulled in and feeling guilty about it. And I like to think of it as, and I know I've shared with this many times, but having a hot air balloon out in the parking lot. It's all laying there all frumpy and whatever, and you start to put a little air in it, and it starts to bubble up a little bit, and you get all excited, and eventually it gets bigger and bigger and gets formed, and the hot air balloon. But as long as the stakes are still there, even though it's coming to fruition, it still hasn't left the ground. And as we rise above and our ability to not judge or attack ourselves continues to increase, one day it would simply be what is right now. And we don't have to try to fix it or change it or make it different. We just release it to his answer instead of mine.
It's no longer dangerous to us.
Well, that's actually correct, because keep remembering especially in our initial steps, you could take this be the Browns, I'm not into football, and whatever team is the opposition, okay? Nowhere do these touch. So if I'm on this team, I don't really want God. I got this going. So it's really only when I am ready to be willing to be shown another way that line can be crossed and something different will happen. And, let's face it, if you're in the middle of an argument, read that little line you just shared.
I give you to the Holy Spirit as part of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you will be released unless I want to use you to imprison myself.
Yeah.
In the name of my freedom, I choose your release because I recognize that we will be released together. together. It's on page
Perfect.
329 of
Thank-
the text. It's
thank
the
you.
inserted prayer.
Right, right. But there it is. You know, if I'm in the middle of an argument, is that the prayer I really want to say? Only when I finally flip to the point where I realize wanting to stay that is going to hurt me and keep me from aligning with what oneness is. And that may take some time before we're really ready. And you might do it one time with one person and then want to strangle the other person. So, but your ability to want that more and more does begin to increase. And you know, if you really think about it, if my brother and I are one, I can't hate my brother and be in oneness, because my brother is ultimately me. And it's like, much like doing this, you know, this is me and this is my brother. Well, yeah, but you're both the same, and it hurts you when you pound on your hand. Yeah.
I read it, when I found it again and I started reading it, I felt like, okay, I really gotta hold on to this one a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I experience is I read it, and it takes up all the time that I would otherwise be pissing and moaning about my brother.
There you go.
It takes up this, so the intention is to take me to the time where the time ticks. So the time's ticking about my brother, and I'm going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, and then I read this, and it's oh shit was eliminated for about 3 minutes.
Exactly. And again, when you're doing that, you're spending more time here than over here.
But it has to be your intention. It's
Well,
not just
it does. It
the
does.
intent. I think that's where I have a lot of, I just do things my way, and I understand how it works, because you can't just say things and pretend like it's okay.
Right,
You know,
right. But at the same time, having said that, and I agree with what you're saying, you know, there is that point where it starts to like dawn on me in the midst of the conflict. And even though I'm not ready to choose this, even that's a huge step in the right direction, because before it was just simply kill or be killed. There was no other conversation on the table. You know, you're an idiot, blah, 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 and I know better and whatnot. And even if you don't say that, or you don't, you know, act it out, it's going on in here. And if it's going on in here, you're over here. Because this side doesn't have those thoughts, period.
Start someplace.
Start
And
somewhere,
every
yes.
word that's in this book can lead you there.
Exactly.
Astonishing work that
Exactly.
how that's possible.
Right.
But to sit and read that instead of, it just takes the edge off, I guess.
It sure does.
And also when you're in the muddy water there on that chart, you have
In the
no-
muddy
you
water.
have no, it's all an end game, and it's all lousy.
Yeah,
Nothing's
well,
gonna happen.
and that's another thing, Andrea. When we really understand nothing good is ever going to come by being aligned with the ego. Yeah, there's going to be some shiny coins, and yeah, it's going to look like every once in a while, you know, I have a sunny day instead of a storm. But it's not going to be anything close to what this is. And there's a wonderful line that says, you know, if you want to know what this is like, just imagine the best experience you've ever had in your life and multiply it 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000, and it doesn't even come close. So, you know, why wouldn't I trust Jesus that maybe he has a little something better for me than what I've been playing in?
Yeah, just a whole downward spiral around
Yes.
fighting with someone, or
Yep.
just not agreeing with them.
Yeah.
And having that be, I just don't think that's right. They shouldn't
Yep.
do that. Why are they doing that? And it's.
I know, but you know, it can be what clothes they're wearing at the grocery store, and I don't like them. I mean, I can remember this one day, and I thought, I think I'm getting a little bit more healed. I saw this woman dressed in this outrageous outfit, and I thought, oh my gosh. And then I had this little click in my mind that said, well, she either looked in the mirror and thought, oh my gosh, do I look good? Or she just doesn't care. So why should I? And be aware how much we put into, you know, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. No matter, it doesn't have to be a big major argument. It can be the silliest, most subtle judgment that's coming out of my head all the time.
And that was a miracle. And
It
that
was. I felt
you
that
got
was.
you were having a discussion with
Absolutely.
God, with that part of you.
Yes.
You were having a
Yes.
discussion about what,
Right.
and you came to the realization that whatever you said was never going to impact that situation.
It's never going to
And you
change
have-
it.
So just to have that sense of not being able to have any control or impact or power over something is self-defeating, and it's just, like, oh shit, why can't these people all dress nicely? Why do
Yeah.
they have to put these?
Like I'm the fashion feast of the world, right? You better dress like I think you should.
How is it so, how you can get, then when you get stopped in your tracks,
Yes.
look at all the time I've been wasting.
Well, exactly. And keep remembering, and that's actually a good awareness, because think about this. If I'm not ready to go over here, I want to waste a whole lot of time here. I'm going to keep this party going. Would you make the temperature like 1 degree warmer? If I'm afraid of this, then this is not my friend. It should go, yeah.
It got really hot.
It got hot?
Yeah. And then
Oh, I know. Okay.
There we go.
Got it?
Yep.
All right. And if it gets too hot, we'll turn it back down. And I know that it's kind of extreme sometimes. So anyways, yeah, I mean, it's like, and think about this, like that experience I just shared. It just happened. It wasn't like I was sitting there thinking, I'm gonna be nice to this person and let me visualize her wearing the right. None of that. It happened because of all the times that I have been putting the right choice into this. And one day it reflects into the world and it's like, oh my gosh, whew. And it's so freeing. So freeing when that
The
happens.
bottom drops out of your.
The bottom
my
drops
belly, I
out.
feel like,
Yeah, it's like, who cares?
They took
Yeah.
away, I could be in a balloon now and go somewhere.
Yes, there you go. I can see the balloon,
Keep
go on the
sitting-
balloon.
Keep sitting here looking at that person. I don't have to keep looking at them and driving myself crazy.
Yep,
And then going home and saying, this person I saw in the grocery store, they look so funny.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we need something to fill that void. It doesn't matter who or what it looks like. We want that filled because I'm too afraid of the nothing aspect
And
right
it's
now.
kind of meant to build us up in comparison to them.
Well, that could
How
be.
that's you're you're trying to build yourself up because you don't feel like you have enough.
Well, and then there's always, we're always comparing ourselves to something or someone else, yeah.
But that does become a topic of conversation.
Oh,
You
yeah,
see that person in the store, there's a lull in the conversation with someone, and you think, oh, I guess who I saw. I don't know who she was, but
right, well, yeah.
very interesting outfit.
Right, exactly. But is that really any different about complaining about the weather, which we all do? You know, it's almost like a collective conversation of nothing.
Exactly, so that's the point,
Keep
so
the
it's
Holy
like,
Spirit away.
Well,
You
yeah,
stay there, you
yeah,
put this
right.
letter somewhere, but otherwise I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that.
yeah, that is my, I was trying to get to, how do you stay away from all that, stay away from the weather, like you just got done
Right,
saying,
yeah.
which is very null and void
Right, right,
conversation, get away from this person, or whatever else you found that was something you heard on TV.
Yes, right,
It's just
right,
like, okay, now what do we have? If you're not
Right.
on the same spiritual.
right.
uh,
But
path,
I think the answer
Yeah.
to that is just simply become aware of how often you're doing it. Because when you become aware how often you do it, it'll start to fall away. Now, if you become aware of it and then you go, oh, that's right, I'm not supposed to do that, I'm in the Course of Miracles, and then you beat yourself over the head, then you're recycling in the ego again. Just simply, oh, there I go again, and kind of brush it away like you got an eyelash in your eye. But don't make a big deal out of it.
And the little things are easy to practice with,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
driving, like
Yeah,
the person
right.
in front of you or the person in back of you.
Right.
Driving too quick, it's like this, I realize the sooner I can, give them love, I feel love, and I really do feel love for them in the back, not just
Right.
saying,
Right, yeah.
I love them.
Right, yeah.
Even though I
Yeah, and there's always a progression to that I love them aspect as well, because sometimes you don't really love them, but you're still opening the door and you're still becoming aware, which we weren't before. I mean, think of, 10 years ago, when somebody said something you didn't like, internally you wanted to punch them out, right? Let's face it, that's the nature of the beast here. Go after them and snap their neck, like a wild animal. And now, even if you're not doing this perfect, or you're not doing it as it's asking us to come to do, the fact that you're becoming aware is huge. Huge, huge, huge. Because now you got a little, it's like playing with clay, you're starting to mold it in a little bit different way than it was before. All right, Jason, I know you had your hand.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about something. So my wife calls me a child,
Okay.
and I know that there's a bell in me that's obviously getting hit that is telling me I'm a child or, you know, whatever. But what also happens during that process is my connection to her completely drops off. So I don't think about anything positive from her at all. I'm just like hyper focused on
What she said.
this, what she said, or this
How dare
negative
her,
comment
right.
she
Yep.
made, or you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
whatever. So
Okay.
how can I help look at that in a different way within
Okay.
the course?
I would spend some time looking at you and how many times you're childish. For starters, because you see, again, as you said, if I don't have a trigger point with that word, you know, if I walked up to you and said you were 6 feet tall and had purple hair, you'd think I was a weirdo, but you wouldn't be upset in any way, shape, or form. So I would really examine, you know, over a period of time, not just for 5 minutes in the corner or whatever, how many times do I really act childish? Because when you can own that I'm childish, and we all are at times, then somebody can't come and poke you with it as much. So that's step one. And in regard to being upset with her, you see, that's the whole deal with separation, beginning separation. She did this to me, which she didn't really do to you. She just tapped your bell. And now I'm justified to hate her, so we can separate even further instead of join. So as we keep practicing this and work on it, eventually when she triggers you that way, first of all, if you really work on your I'm a child thing, it won't affect you as much, and then we won't have to separate so far. Yeah. But that takes practice again.
You won't have to separate so far?
Well, okay, so the whole deal is we're like bumper gang. What is those bumper where they
Bumper cars. Yeah.
bumper cars where they bounce off of each other? Well, if I'm too afraid to mesh, I'm going to bounce it off because I'm not ready for that yet. And I'm not ready for it because I'm aligned with my ego so deeply. And as I begin to examine the aspects of me that I continue to hold that are triggers, that's just another way where I keep playing that game.
Yeah, but this is not a mental exercise.
It's a reaction.
It's like a gut reaction that
It definitely
I'm
is.
just repulsed by her.
Yeah. Okay, and just look at, okay, right this moment I'm repulsed about her, but ultimately on a deeper level that repulse is, I love the repulse because now I can be justified to attack her instead of own that it is me that's carrying the wound that needs to be healed. And if I can recognize that, and that may take some practice, but as you keep working with it, you will catch it more frequently, and you'll recognize, well, maybe I do believe that, but I can ask for help. And then it cuts that whole deal. And we all have these setups of wounds. We're like walking wounded all the time. What's wrong with me? Poke me, and I'm on the floor because so we have a lot of places to practice on a daily basis.
So the first step is to just notice how often that behavior that I'm being accused of is
what I own. I mean, and let me give you let me give you an example. I was very upset with people calling me a bitch, okay? And so I was kind of playing with this, And I literally walked around all day saying, well, I am a bitch, I mean, there's some days let's face it,
Okay.
okay? And kind of play with it. Don't make it, too dramatic. Just kind of play with it. And as I became comfortable with the fact that, yes, the facts are, I'm a bitch sometime.
It's kind of like what Shelley said about the negative thing, invited to dinner.
Well, yeah,
And
same kind of thing. Yes,
That stuck with me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because you're not
Same concept.
you're not making it a big deal. You're just letting it kind of ride through and observing it and checking it out and seeing if that fits in my home anymore.
Just wants attention.
So, I have to kind of sympathize with Jason. So
Of
you just
course.
kind of quiet and just let this.
You could do that too, yeah, because think about the ego loves chaos. Okay? I think I'm walking around all peaceful. She says this, bam, I'm all over the place. It wasn't her triggering him. He already lost his peace on some level, and now he finds a face called my wife. And then we blame it on the wife, where nothing gets solved, because the problem isn't the wife. The problem is this. The problem is what am I carrying inside? And it's always some form of guilt, sin, and fear. I don't feel worthy, whatever it may be. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just got like an unhealed place.
Oh, absolutely,
Like,
a wound.
yeah,
I mean,
like,
yes.
Usually people that are closest to you really trigger that. I
Oh,
feel. I've
yes,
been
they do.
Really triggered by my husband, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
really triggered him. And
Yep.
things that happened in childhood that he did, that was, whatever it is.
It
it's just
doesn't,
those
right.
Unhealed.
Yep, exactly.
And then kind of recognizing.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
And it's so subtle because oftentimes we may say something in jest and not have any clue that that's their trigger point. And yet you can go on this ride forever of re-triggering and not even know you're re-triggering.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why we get married, so we can practice for eons of life, probably, to get this just so right. Yeah, but
And none of us really knows what we're doing when we're
no.
So people say that I'm childish. I like that. I own that. That's-
Well,
I mean, I
that,
could trade
yeah.
places with you, and she could holler at me, and you could be at her house, and work with children all the time. For a very, that's my,
Right.
I don't, that doesn't upset me at all.
Right.
It makes me feel
Right.
good, but there's nobody telling me
Right.
that, well, they tell me some things, but
Right.
I don't listen that much.
Right, and I,
Childish is a
right,
blanket term
right, yeah,
that she's
exactly.
using to say, I don't like what you're doing.
Mhm.
I'm gonna call you childish. I'm gonna put a label on it.
Right,
Okay.
right.
I
And,
want you to do this, you're doing that.
right, exactly. And again, the more you spend time here, the less whatever she or anybody else says or does will have any effect on you. And that doesn't mean you will always 24 hours a day agree with that other person, but you will be at peace with it. So then your response to it would come from a place of peace instead of a place of wound. And again, this all sounds great on paper, but practicing on a daily basis it takes a lot.
And I guess you better practice, because I just think to myself, after 47 years of being married, you think of those, it's always just a few things. that
Little
always
irritations,
come up
yes.
every time that you're irritated by. So it could be childish, could be her, well, let's just say her for a second here, is her word and upsets you, and that could be going on 20, 30 more years from now.
Right,
So
yep.
it's just like you begin to realize over time, oh my God, it's the same little
I
things.
know.
The same two or three, whatever they are.
I know. But you see, isn't that interesting? If those triggers continue to trigger you, the ego doesn't have to work very
I
hard.
know, so I finally think I'm getting it.
Yay, yeah.
It's like, okay, that's gonna be said, or at least it appears it's gonna be said by
Right.
somebody else, okay.
The ownership seems to be really
Yeah,
critical.
it's very critical. Yeah.
Because when I do something that I don't like, or I don't like myself or whatever, I distance myself from it and say, I'm not that, I'm not that,
Oh,
I'm not that.
yes. Which is really, you're
gonna argue with
right, you're taking part of you and disowning you.
Disowning,
Yes, yeah. And then blaming them for your disowning. Yeah. It's, we're really we're really amazing. And, when you were talking about, Mariana, 47 years of marriage, this highly likely could even be going on for lifetimes where we're still playing with the same, because they usually say we kind of switch places in relationships, but we keep, sort of like when you're in kindergarten, the next year everybody goes up to the next grade level, or most people do. And so you're going to play with those same people, and they're still going to poke you because that's what you came here to work on.
It's kind of like, you talk about the ego and the pact we made with the ego to never look at things. And that's coming
Heavy.
into play in this
Yes.
conversation,
Yeah.
because it's like, you divorce yourself from it, you disown yourself from it, you disown your power, disown yourself, basically.
Exactly.
And, in doing so, you don't integrate that.
No, you've just left that wound in the corner and put a little blankie over it, so nobody notices it. So I don't notice it really, but nothing's gotten healed.
My mom used to, have messy rooms, but she would cover them with
There you go.
blankets.
There you go. There you go. That's
So-
that's exactly what we're doing with our minds. Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. It's a
Yeah.
good visual.
Yeah. And there is a section, I think it's in the teacher's manual, I'm not positive, but it talks about relationships, and it says, some people will be a relationship where you see a little child in an elevator and you smile at them because they were crying. And that's, it's a split second, or somebody at the grocery store. And then there's the relationships that you have, maybe 10, 12, maybe high school students or whatever. And then there are those relationships, whether they're with your parents or your spouse or your kids, that last pretty much a lifetime. And it specifically explains these are custom made for our learning if we choose to use them for that way. But it doesn't say they're fun, and it doesn't say they're nice. But they're perfect because every one of those little irritations, and like you said, Marian, 47 years, we're still playing that same insane game. And then just a shift of something occurred to you that, oh, wow, that's something that I could look at differently.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wonder
whatever.
what would happen if she said, "You're childish," and said, "Yes, I am. I was childish here."
Well,
here."
I assure you that she doesn't have as much meat to work with. I mean, seriously, when you own it, you're dropping the rope in a what is that game where you're
Tug of war.
tug of war thing. You're dropping you're dropping the line. Absolutely, yes.
I wonder what
Because-
would happen.
Well, what would happen is she might get irritated, but eventually she'll start laughing at it because there's no longer, keep remembering in duality it takes two to play. The moment you would do something like that, you're saying, no, we're playing another game now. Now, she may get more irritated than she was before because you had a contract, and your contract was this, not this. But something has to change, has to shift when any one of us makes that change.
Also, if you, in that moment, instead of, you can anticipate what she's gonna say, first of all, because you're thinking she doesn't like this. So in that moment, you ask, Jesus, help me. I don't know how that would
Right.
but you have a new thought. You know how this is all called new, you have a new thought in the middle of it.
Yep.
And you say, you just say, I'm not childish, I just don't agree with you.
Well, that could be the answer, but don't look for an answer that you've already established.
Right.
Allow the answer to flow through you. And for one person, it could be one thing, and another
Right.
person
Right,
another,
but you
Yeah.
don't have, the problem is you think somehow you kowtow to it, that means you actually worship that she says that, then she's wrong. I mean, I'm not saying correctly, but
Right.
you just you give it more energy because you agree, you let it go.
Yeah.
Where you could say, or in what they call it, mediation. A friend of mine is a mediator. In mediation with families and things, you say, when they say something to you, he says, this is a technique. You say, tell me more.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What else do you want to talk about? With that kind
Right.
of, let's talk about this, how it works. I like this, and I'm sorry if that hurts your feeling. I mean, I guess learned how to negotiate that way, but, you know, that's, I don't know how childish that is, but anyway, it's just how, but,
That's a good point. I think you can do all three.
Oh, sure. Practice any of them and take the one that works best for you. And maybe that's one today and another one 3 weeks from now.
I'm kind of sadistic, I guess. I don't know. But not sadistic, but maybe mean or.
Well, we are all mean.
What
Kill or
else?
be killed is not a
Kill or be
nice
killed.
word.
What else am I? There's another word for it. I have a
Vindictive?
very sharp
Vindictive?
very sharp
Yeah, that
you
word,
know, I can
vindictive.
do a lot of damage with my
Well,
my
in,
words.
as well as all of us, yes.
And you know, that one of just agreeing with her appeals to me so much. And going into this one and this one and this one, I was making coffee this way, I was skipping this morning. Oh my God, I was skipping.
Oh.
Yes, yes, yes. And we have to realize behind all of this, little Jason really wants someone to upset him. He doesn't care who it is, how they do it, what they say or what they don't say. Because in order for me to keep being here, if I'm afraid of this, I have to have a perpetrator. And boy, does she help me. I mean, she lives with me, for crying out loud. I don't even have to go out of the house. She's right there.
have to get on the road or see anybody.
Don't have to go on the road. No, 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 no.
Built in.
Don't even have to take it on the
Built-in
road.
reminder.
And again, I know we're kind of laughing with all this because we can all relate to it. But in the moment, it is not fun.
Exactly. No,
It's not fun. It's very painful. It stings. Yeah. All right, let's take a 10-minute break and we'll come back.
I'm slow today, so
Okay, Jason.
Okay. So the last line I read was, this means that you perceive your brother only as you see him now. So whenever we ask to see him differently, that's what we're doing. Because his past has no reality in the present, so you cannot see it. So as long as I hold the past in front of my brother, I can never see who he really is. And I mean, we're all doing this. Let's face it, even if you're intellectually have heard this and understand it and think, oh yeah, that's a good idea, we're still automatically doing this all the time. But it's about catching it a little quicker all the time and then eventually coming to that point where, you know, this hurts me. That's when the real shift will begin because I'm tired of being in pain all the time. And as I understand, if I'm pointing a finger, it is causing me pain because I'm the one that's poking it in my heart. But we don't connect those dots that well yet.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you pop off first and then you think about maybe I should read that paragraph again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A couple more times.
right.
Yeah. Just this afternoon, let alone later.
But then it does it comforts you to read.
Yeah, sure.
No, it's a possibility, and then
Yes,
it comes
there
a
you
little
go.
closer.
There you go. All right. Your past reactions to him are also not there. Ooh, I like this one because you don't have to feel guilty by having past reactions that weren't loving because those aren't real either.
They're gone.
They're gone.
They're gone if you put them out of your.
Well, they never were, not only gone.
Right.
You know?
But how you react to them and then you keep them.
Well,
That's how you get to keep them.
yeah.
You know, like that one sentence says that, you know, it's not that you're going to be, not that you're not having any bad thoughts or be angry. It's that you're not going to keep those thoughts.
Correct.
Yeah, so
Correct.
you're not keeping those thoughts, which
Yeah.
you think, somehow you think if you keep saying it, they use it like a mantra. Instead of keep saying, keep saying what you're mad about, you say this instead, and then
Yeah.
it changes a little.
Right, but keep remembering, if I'm either here or here at any given moment, if I'm over here because I'm saying a prayer of show me who I am in whatever language you use, I'm not over there for that moment.
Right, that's the only thing we have to go by
Yes.
to show us how it's going to be different.
Exactly.
That's a new thought.
Right. Or even if it's, you got stopped by a red light and you're in a hurry to get to wherever and you're late. Well, most of us spend our 3 minutes or however long it seems, maybe 10, seems like some, over here, instead of well, yeah, and it's his fault, the light's fault because I'm late. Yeah, I left late.
That's just so funny how, know, I think that's
Yeah,
what
it's funny,
makes
right?
me laugh sometimes, is how I'm so mad at the light, like, okay, Andrea, you're gonna lose your
Yep.
mind here, stop that.
Yeah, so if I can spend even the time that I get upset by waiting for the light to change over here of, okay, I just want to sit here and chill.
Yeah.
You're connecting with oneness there.
You get a break.
Not a hard deal. I don't have to get a white, shirt and meditate in the corner. I can do it in front of the lights. Yeah, and don't worry, if you happen to fall asleep, the person behind you will make sure you know. All right, so your past reactions to him are also not there, and if it is to them you react, you see but an image of him that you made and cherished instead of him. Yeah, oh. So the ego gets you coming or going. All right. So if I look at my brother and attack him, and then I feel bad because I attack him, either place I'm still on the wrong side. Or it's the same thing if you're trying to lose weight and you're on a diet and your mind says, oh, I should eat that chocolate cake. No, I better just have one little bite of that chocolate cake really looks good. And so it's edging you there. And the moment you take a bite, it says, well, you shouldn't have done that. How dare you do that? And just observe how frequently in your life that little nudge says one thing and then flips to the other one just like that because you made the choice. Instead of just simply going, well, I'm kind of hungry for that chocolate cake, and be at peace with it, because it's really the lack of peace that's causing it to have an effect on you.
And eventually you find out that you want peace more than the chocolate cake, which
Perfect.
is really interesting to me,
Yeah.
because I'm all about that for my whole life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I go, no, I have a friend now in the morning, once in a while we go, she says, well, I'm gonna go stop at the little thing and have a cookie. And if I've already had my breakfast, I really don't wanna eat.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, it's not, I don't know why, I mean, I'm
Yep.
happy about that I don't wanna
Starts
have a
to
cookie.
fade away.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't disagree with her or anything, but I
Sure,
think, I
sure.
think I'll just have, whatever, just.
Yeah, cool. All right, I'm going to lead those two lines again because they are very powerful. His past has no reality in the present, so you cannot see it if I've changed my mind. Your past reactions to him are also not there, and if it is to them that you react, you see but an image of him that you made and cherished instead of him. And be very clear with the word made. The Course uses that word instead of create. What the ego does is make. What God does is create, and they're not the same thing. So again, it is, you see but an image of him that you made. In other words, you put the face on your guilt, and now you're looking at the face and hating the face instead of realizing it's the guilt behind it that's the problem. And you cherish them because, again, if I'm afraid of oneness, I'm going to literally cherish my connection with the ego. And it will literally be my security blanket because I'm afraid of love. And I'll have to repeat that over and over because I know we don't always connect those dots, but they're there. In your questioning of illusions, ask yourself if it is really sane to perceive what was as now. Yes, yeah, that's the good reaction. I like that because I know you got it.
Like what used to be.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
trying to put the past and the present together,
Exactly.
and you can't do it, what
Yep.
used to be, and yet how that keeps knocking at your door.
Yep.
Keep going with that.
Yeah, but you don't have to answer the door. All right, I'm going to read that one again because it was a good one as well. Your past reactions to him are also not there, and if it is to them that you react, you see but an image of him you made and cherish instead of him. And as I mentioned with Jason and what he brought up, it's not really the person that triggers you if you want them to trigger you. You wrote the script for them to trigger you, so who's the problem? The triggerer or your script that you wrote? And when you choose for the ego, you're always, always, always going to have a script that is, I'm an innocent victim of circumstances beyond my control. If it wasn't for you, or it, or they, or them, it doesn't matter, then I could be at peace. And that's...
I can see how, the trigger is, that makes me mad, that makes me mad,
Mm-hmm.
that makes me mad. So how to not look at that as a trigger. I mean, when it just really, gets under you, that's a whole different answer you get from the Holy Spirit.
It's a whole different, it's another realm. Keep remembering these two worlds do not touch. Zero. I'm either playing here or I'm relinquishing this and playing over here.
And the triggers keep coming.
Oh, yes, they
I
do.
mean, I was just astonished on the 4th of July. My neighbors, I've heard them blow off these rockets across the street. I mean, it was so loud for 2 hours, it sounded like they were in a war zone. And I had some pretty murderous thoughts during it. I asked Jesus, what, do I have to put up, how is it? I wasn't gonna go out and intervene.
Right.
But then I had this thought. I thought, what if I had a gun? And I went over there and shot their foot. Would they still be blowing those freaking things off again? And I had that thought, and I kept, of course I don't have a gun.
Yeah, that's a good thing, I think.
What if
Hide your feet, people.
I had that thought because
Yes.
it was very dangerous. All the neighbors are all very upset. And then the answer I got the next morning, I was, still mad, but I fell asleep. I mean, after 2 hours, because I guess I have not been affected a lot by people making whatever.
Right.
And the answer was, it was just a lot of noise. Nothing happened. It was just a lot of noise.
But what I'd really like you to look at, not only the answer, because it was a good answer, is Andrea used to think she was a nice person. I know she does. And Mary Ann did too, so I'm not picking on you, don't get me wrong. But today she found out if she had a gun, she would go shoot the person in the foot. Notice she didn't kill him. She was just going to shoot him in the foot and show them. And we need to become more and more acutely aware of those kind of sneaky little things that are hiding in our subconscious mind.
If you shoot the person in the foot, they'll probably sue you. So you have to kill them.
Of course, then you'll be in jail, so that's not such a
Okay.
good deal.
But nobody will know, so you have to
Oh, nobody will know?
get to a wood
Okay.
chipper.
Well, I know,
Put it through a wood chipper.
It was just a thought that came in.
I know, and
that
but
I didn't feel guilty about.
Good.
I was having this, I was raging about. I was so angry because it was so unnecessary. It very
Because it was
unnecessary.
2 hours, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes.
could have survived.
But you see,
2 hours.
I've lived there for almost 30 years.
You have the
30 minutes.
same experience?
No, but I just can't, I don't like the,
Right.
shooting on
It's-
firecrackers.
It was horrible. I mean,
Yep.
I was not happy with it. I couldn't sleep through it. Every time you kind of go through a lot, and it was just like, it felt like the building was being bombed. It
Sure.
felt like bombed.
Yeah, I don't understand why they put up, a whole different story. Why do they make this for the public? These
Right.
firecrackers that are so loud
Yep.
and so shaky places. I don't
Yep.
understand why. the
Well,
public
and
does
the
this.
ironic thing is we're celebrating our freedom of our country, and most people that were in the military do not like fireworks because it reminds them of the war.
That's what it sounds like, yes.
Well, it does sound like, and as you said, you can feel it reverberating in your entire body sometimes. Yep. Yep.
So I got to the bottom of my hate emotion.
Yes, kill or be killed came right out in front of you, girl.
Because if I was inclined to have a gun, I probably could have
Right.
gone. I thought it was kind of a good idea. They'll stop doing it because they can't do it. Now their foot hurts too bad. They have to call the emergency.
Well, the blood is all over
Take
the
it to
place.
the hospital. I wasn't gonna hurt, kill him. I was gonna
No,
just.
but there would be blood.
See, she's still nice. She wasn't going to kill him. She was just going to harm him.
It was just, so.
No, but, and I want everybody to really hone into this because we can think we're nice people. And when those little thoughts come to the surface, you really realize, yeah, it is kill or be killed. And then you smile at it and you don't take it quite so seriously. But at least you're aware you're not playing this game. Oh God, why don't you come and get me? Because you see, I am so holy and special and whatever. And that's the game we're playing, guys.
Or what, kind of for me, it was like, what is this for? Show me. I need help I need a lot of help. I was thinking I didn't need help that night, but then also it was so noisy. I said, I need help.
I changed my mind. I need help.
Not so much help to see it. I didn't say through your eyes. I just said, I need help. And so that was how it manifested. But the neighbor that I'm seeing now, she was so upset. She was just starting to shout, talking about it, and then I told her my little story about wanting to shoot him in the foot, and she just laughed out loud. Because she knew
I bet she did.
And then it kind of dissipated, And so I feel like that's the end of it. I can't control what people are going to do across
No,
the street.
absolutely zero.
And she thought the police should be more out there. And so next time we'll call the police.
Yeah, that's always.
I don't know if they'll do it, but it's possible.
Yep. Yep.
So the bottom line is I've known these people for 28 years. They're wonderful people. They just have very bad choices in partners.
Well, and see, that's another thing we need to look at. These are very nice people. They've been your neighbors for a very long time. But even those we like and that are normally very congenial and you get along with, always have a little something there that they can poke you with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like I crossed that bridge and I came through it without killing anybody.
This time.
Not killing anybody, hurting anybody's food.
All right, the next line is rather telling. In your questioning of illusions, ask yourself if it is really sane to perceive what was as now. And the answer is, it's not very sane, but watch me do it. And again, observe that without judgment or condemnation. Just become aware, oh, there it goes again. Because keep remembering, if I'm choosing for the ego, I'm going to be coming from this. So now I'm looking at me coming from this, and eventually I'll come to the place where I will observe it without judgment or condemnation and just realize, wow, that's what good little egos do. That wasn't such a good choice. And eventually you'll want to choose differently and it'll just come to you. Not, oh, I'm going to be a nice course person because I'm nice. I won't be mean to those bad people who are doing that. It will simply be something that will rise to the surface for
It
you.
used to be like you're not allowed to think that. That was the whole premise behind the other religion. You're not allowed to think
No,
like that.
I
Because
know.
if you're thinking like that,
I was
you're
there.
gonna, you're not allowed to think it. And so you're thinking it like mad.
Yes, yes,
but you're
yes.
feeling terrible.
Yes, and that's what the Course is trying to say. Yes, you're going to think it, but don't feel terrible or beat yourself up. Just be aware that's what the choice of the ego is always going to bring. And then it slowly falls away. It kind of like, well, here's a piece of paper. Throw this one. It's sort of like this. As it slowly goes, it'll just be like that. It won't be this big, huge, it just this like floating away, because now the new information is filling the space and that has to go.
Would you feel like that later on in the evening?
Well, I was in bed. And
She was asleep.
Like 10 o'clock they started up.
Of course.
I was, but I tend to not, like I tend to try to go to sleep. I don't tend to stay up or, get all that. I usually don't get so worked up, and I knew maybe I wasn't as worked up as somebody else would have been.
That's when all the fireworks started, was 10 o'clock.
Sure.
10
That's
to
normal
10 to
because it's
midnight,
dark, right?
2-hour
Yep.
window.
Right, so some of it you're kind of, ready for. Now, I would say that what happened was as I was having these thoughts and then dissipating them, the thoughts were dissipating. Like, no, you don't have a gun, you're not gonna go shoot that person in the foot.
Right.
That was the bottom line. And then I went to sleep, I fell asleep.
Oh,
And
wow.
then it kind of bottomed off, it wasn't so bad. But, this was after, a couple of hours. And then I just, the bottom line was the thoughts, the new thought I had. The new thought that came from my asking, I believe.
Yep. No, I'm
was,
sure.
it was just a bunch of noise.
Mm-hmm.
Hold
Yep.
on, so what?
Right.
What's it, but nobody was hurt,
Right.
even if they had been, on their part, that was something they would have had to do.
Right. Exactly.
So, I wasn't concerned about them so much as my sanity.
Yep.
And-
That's all, just your sanity, right?
It was a progression of me asking
Yes.
and still asking, because I wasn't 100% cleared up,
That's correct. You definitely weren't.
Right? And now
And that's a good piece of
information.
information.
100% cleared up.
Yes.
I put my faith in that. I said, no, we're not gonna, I expect to be helped by this.
Right.
How to do it.
Yep. And they were giving you a gift because, again, the only way you know what's going on up here is how you look at the world. And if something in the world can disturb your peace, it doesn't matter how big or small, it's not about that or them. It's about the choice. Because
So
if
she
you...
could have- I'm
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
She could have heard
Mm-hmm.
the banging, but it would not have bothered her. 'Cause obviously you think you're gonna hear it. But
Exactly.
you're just not gonna have any reaction
That
to
is
it.
correct.
Just this humongous bang
Yes,
going off and
yes.
Booms and
Yep.
possibly even some shaking of the house.
Yeah, yeah,
And you're
Yep.
just gonna, oh well.
yeah. But it's not like you pretend to oh well. You literally will be in a place of oh well. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, not now because we're in the progression of learning this, but when you're really over here, the not now would be there right away because you're already aligned.
Well, I didn't like get up out of bed and go,
Oh, you don't have to make excuses. We've already heard the story, girl. You're done. You're done.
I guess I wasn't as upset as I could have been. And also the fact that even though those sounds go on during war, we were not at war, we were
Yes.
having fireworks.
Yes.
It was just a revolver, it wasn't a 12-gauge shotgun,
And it was only 2 toes, right?
and it was only 2 toes.
When you first started telling this, it was like, "Ah." Now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's much.
No,
Yep.
I mean, no, it wasn't. It was a struggle. It was a real strong struggle, but I knew getting up out of bed wasn't gonna help it. Jumping around, and who was I gonna holler at?
Yep.
They couldn't hear me anyway. It was too noisy.
Yeah. All right. So if you remember the past as you look upon your brother, you will be unable to perceive the reality that is now. So if I'm seeing that, that's my opportunity to ask to see it through the lens of love if and when I'm ready to. But if I'm still cranked up, and I think Andrea's story, pretty much explains from how most of us, when we're in that place, we're churning. It's like if you could run a watch on our energy, you could probably be going fast because we got some good juice in there. And the juice, again, is all coming from the ego. And as the ego starts to come down, because I keep asking for help, the Holy Spirit starts to rise, and my connection with that truth begins to express through me. And like Marianne said, it would still happen, but I'm not affected by it. It's like ho-hum, whatever.
I mean, it was affecting me. I mean,
Well, we could tell.
Talking gun, it was definitely.
I was between the ego and the Holy Spirit. I mean, that was the position that we were in when we came to the world, right? We come into our body, whatever we do. I was between those two things, trying to make a decision, trying to be decided how am I going to take this?
Yeah.
Or where are you, Jesus? For heaven's sakes, this can't be right. I mean, other things I could put up with, but I had it with this. It's just that's how, as an ego, or how the ego operates.
Exactly.
We think we've got it all together.
Oh, yeah.
And then when the shit hits the fan, we don't, and we're disappointed in ourselves.
I could hear a why did God allow this to happen to me?
That's right. I mean, because that's all part of this distinction between the ego and the Holy Spirit. You're always trying to figure out who does what.
Who done it, right?
This is really a bad time. This is really bad. How could this be? You're always trying to make the world your reality.
Well, there you go.
Between ego and
Is there a what?
a space between
Oh, yeah.
ego
They do
and
not touch in any way, shape, or
I
form.
don't think so.
Oh, no. Not never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason somebody might not be upset about noises is because they don't even see them as noises. They don't even
Exactly.
hear 'em.
Maybe somebody thinks it's music. I mean, who
That's what I'm
knows?
thinking.
Yep.
There's so many people that do this,
Mm-hmm.
they just think this.
Well, they know it's coming, or
Right.
they don't care.
Nope.
You know,
Nope,
why do
nope,
I
nope.
care about something?
Because I do.
I
Pretty-
do have to eat him.
Well,
You know, one
you're
year I
probably
remember
right.
when a long time ago, I lived someplace else, and we had a tree out front. And I remember when those first, the firecrackers which were going off, I lived by Fairview Hospital, for some whatever reason, they were having firecrackers at Fairview Hospital being set off. And I remember, I was looking out the window, and when the first one hit, I must have seen at least 100, if not 200 birds.
Oh, really?
fly out of the tree.
Oh,
And that's
oh.
always kind of affected me too.
Oh, yeah,
Neighbors.
yeah.
I mean, mine is from, my dad was a World War II POW.
Oh, sure, right.
And he was always, like you were
Oh, yeah.
talking about, so
Mhm.
I developed that, so any
Mhm.
loud noise, I do this
Right.
like that,
Yep.
because he always
Because
did.
that's
Right.
what you
Yeah.
learned,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just watching it.
Yeah.
But there is a real thing called the startle effect.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah,
for
right.
sure,
You know, you
yep.
couldn't even walk up to her, you know, you had
Mhm.
to walk in front, so she knew you were coming.
Right, wow,
And we have a
Yeah.
guy in our,
She was like 30.
wow.
oh, we have a guy in our 55-plus community who always has his headphones in. He moved in
No.
about a year or two ago, and he's a war veteran, and he just can't seem to tolerate being able to someone coming up to
Sure.
him.
Right,
He just doesn't want to. He always keeps those phones on so nobody will approach him
right,
Yeah.
right,
and start trying to talk to him.
right.
Oh, I never seen
Right.
it.
Oh, people do that in lines.
Sure, sure. But that's also a very good example of, that is the Band-Aid, okay? But that doesn't heal his mind,
Right.
okay? And that's nothing wrong with using a Band-Aid if you need a Band-Aid. But to come to the point where you could actually not be affected by the thing that used to affect you.
That's really I mean, that's the whole point of this paragraph.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody has done something terrible to you and you see
Yep.
them, how you're gonna not bring that into it
Correct,
in the room,
right.
you know, with them, unless you heal them.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And you know, a lot of people would say, well, it would be impossible to come to a point where I wouldn't react to the sounds that remind me of the time I was in war. But it could happen if we really, really worked with it and used that particular hook as an opportunity to keep remembering to be healed. But again, taking the past, you know, which is this paragraph just speaking of as well. You know, I was in the war, it was terrible, it was awful. And how many times do any of us that had a bad experience, whether it's the war or a death or an illness or whatever it may be, that we just we can't ever be in a moment without that baggage with us.
Maybe there's a part of our brain, the reticular articulating system, something like the RAS. You know, whatever you're focusing on, it's just gonna see it everywhere.
Absolutely,
Somebody made
absolutely.
that point the other day on
Yep.
YouTube. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I gotta find my focus, otherwise it's just the past all over again. all over again, all the
Absolutely.
time.
And, you know, think about the past is like an old record, you know, it's got grooves and the needle's going around and around and around. And in order to pick it up and go, it takes great effort where we are now because that's natural. I don't have to think about that. I don't have to wake up in the morning and think, well, I'll think about something bad that happened to me 5 years ago. It's right there. It shows up in our mind and we run with it. And to catch it, to become aware of it, and then to slowly stop and go, wait, I want to be in the now, find out what the now is about. It takes some practice doing that, right?
But then there's how do you get to it now? I'm thinking of Ken's father, who was a prisoner of war, you said.
Yep.
You know, the now is a prisoner still. It's not like it's a past, it's still there.
Well, but it's the prison in his mind of the repetition of that story. I remember Byron Katie would talk to people that maybe were raped, and she'll say, well, you know, how many times were you raped? Oh, well, 10 times or 20, you know, every night, whatever it may be. But she said, you're raping yourself every time you allow that thought to come back into your awareness. And it doesn't mean that it's like, oh, it went back in my awareness, but oh, it came in, wait, I don't want to be in the past. I want to find out what the now is.
But I'm just trying to figure out if it's still present.
Mhm. Oh, while they're in the war?
Yes.
Oh, but the same thing is occurring because if you were totally at peace within the midst of the war, it would be a whole different experience because you wouldn't be coming from fear.
So in other words, you could be a prisoner. not being treated
Absolutely,
well.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, Viktor Frankl and the was Search for Serenity or whatever it was.
It's search, man, search.
Then, thank you. He said he literally could tell who the people were that would die because they already decided they were done, and other people had that hope or something, and that was what the ship that brought them forth. Yeah.
And a friend of mine used to say, a psychiatrist of mine used to say, first you die, then you get sick, and then you exit.
Kind of like that.
I
But
said,
we
"Well,
think
it's
it's the other way around, though. But
Yeah,
it's
if
really
you think
that.
it's the other way,
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
he says it's up here.
Yeah. 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 And who's in charge again? Me. But we didn't know we were in charge before. And this, I think that's one of the values of the Course. It's trying to help us understand what the setup is, why it was set up, what the results of the setup are, and then the questioning, do I want to continue walking down the setup or do I want to do something different? And even when you get to that point, it's still hard work because this is such a groove. I don't have to think about this. I have to consciously pick up the needle and put it on this. And that takes, from our point of view, effort. And the only real effort is, wait, do I want to live in the past or do I want to find out what the answer is? But that, for us, because that other way is so well programmed.
And to Mary Ann's question, the construct of time is a construct.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So somebody's in their World War II
Mentality,
Vietnam,
yeah.
Korean War,
Yeah.
Japanese internment camp memory.
Mm-hmm.
It's now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But there is no other thing than now.
Now.
So if I'm bringing it in, I'm bringing it in.
You filled the space, yep. But she was asking if they were actually in war at this moment, could they do this? And the answer I gave her was, you can be in the moment now in war with your mind,
Right.
and what happens to your body doesn't matter.
Your brain can't tell the difference between
Right.
No.
your memory
Yep.
or your dream
Yep.
or any of that.
Yep.
Yeah, Thich Nhat Hanh was in the middle of the Vietnam War.
Mhm.
He wasn't out there trying to kill people.
Right, exactly.
Is that movie you're talking about?
No, Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Zen priest who died recently.
So again, if you remember the past as you look upon your brother, you will be unable to perceive the reality that is now. So let's just take being in war and your opponent. It's really hard to see that opponent in the moment, in the now, fresh without a storyline, let alone our spouses, right? But it can be done if we stick with it and keep committing to it. And like the little quote that Andrea read earlier, if I understand that not holding him in the presence of show me who my brother is, I'm judging and attacking him, and while I'm doing that, I'm in the same prison he is, because I cannot be in oneness. And as we start to connect the dots and realize me holding them in that space is keeping me in that space and unable to be in the now and in the presence of love.
Sometimes it's just not what you think. You think, oh, if I think bad thoughts about them, then I'm in the shit.
Oh, exactly. It
But
doesn't
it's
matter.
not.
It doesn't
It's any
matter.
thoughts
Yes.
about them.
Any
They're
thoughts,
just-
period. Yes. And so again, this kind of keeps digging deeper of all the things we thought were okay that we find out even those weren't okay.
Right, those were labeled too.
Right,
Wow.
exactly. All right, paragraph 2. You consider it natural, and notice when it's in quotes, that's the ego natural. You consider it natural to use your past experience as a reference point from which to judge the present. Yet this is unnatural because it is delusional. When you have learned to look on everyone with no reference at all to the past, either his or yours, as you perceive it, you will be able to learn from what you see now. For the past can cast no shadow to darken the present unless you are afraid of the light. And only if you are would you choose to bring darkness with you, and by holding it in your mind, see it as a dark cloud that shrouds your brothers and conceals their reality from your sight. It's a good one. So you consider it natural, because this is the way we've always done it. It's natural to us. We set it up to be natural for us. And I love that one line.